In this video, you're going to learn how to lose fat as fast as possible. A little bit dangerous, but also safe. We're going to get into all the details. Okay, let's dive right in. Now look, obviously the fastest way to lose fat is not going to be the most sustainable way. So keep in mind, everything I talk about here in this video is going to be things to do short term, and then it's critically important that you manage the period of time after you do these drastic things. Now, I've done this a lot, so I have a lot of personal experience with it. Works perfectly well for me, but understand that everybody is a bit unique, so consult with a doctor, go slowly and carefully with this stuff, but let's just dive right in. I mean, I've done a 5-day fast. Let's start right there. And the beginning to the end of that fast, I was way more cut by the end of it. But it's important when you're doing a fast. So look, I'm going to talk about two big things that you can do to lose fat as quickly as possible when you're trying to do like a quick cut. But keep in mind, these are tools to use in very specific situations. Overall, you want to make sure that you're being healthy. And you know, when I say you're being healthy, use your common sense for that. It's like you should be eating enough calories or just be in a slight calorie deficit, eating enough protein, getting good sleep, eating whole foods, eating a lot of vegetables. All that stuff applies as always, of course. And having said that, if you really want to lose fat as quickly as possible, hey, I've done a 5-day fast and I lost a good bit of fat. And then, you know, you'll lose some water, weight, water retention, things like that as well. So you look way leaner. If there's something that you got coming up and you want to lose fat as quickly as possible, just be sure while you're doing that fast, you're also getting your electrolytes. Some people seem to be under the impression that you don't or can't drink water when you're fasting. That's nonsense. Make sure you drink water and get your electrolytes. You can also have black coffee. I mean, you know, frankly, if you want to have a couple things that maybe have some calories in them, that's okay. If you're approaching this from the aspect of, well, I'm just doing this to really cut my calories way down, do a quick fast, don't be too crazy on yourself about like, I can't have like, you know, a bite of an apple. Like, look, if you're really committed to the fast, make sure you're drinking water and getting electrolytes with that water, getting some salt in there, and then just go as long as you feel like you can. I mean, try it. If you've never done it before, just try it for, I would recommend doing it for up to 48 hours because there's this period you get to, look, the first 24 hours are kind of the hardest. So whenever I've done a fast, the first 24 hours are the hardest. That's when you're hungry, you're used to eating, you're habitually used to eating at these times and things like that. But once you get over that hump, you reach this pretty cool thing. If you've never done it before, and if you have, you know what I'm talking about, that, I mean, you feel like you've taken Adderall and the hunger goes away and you just feel super focused. You feel like you're operating on another level. And then the idea of eating is almost something that you feel like it's gonna slow me down. It's gonna mess up my focus and my sort of high that you get from fasting. So that's very real. So know that the first 24 hours are gonna be the hardest. Know that you definitely need to drink water and electrolytes while you're doing it. And then the after period is really important. Don't eat fucking cheeseburger and fries after you do a 2, 3, 5-day fast. Make sure you're building back up your stomach, your digestion, and everything like that slowly and carefully, and eating healthy whole foods and focusing on eating like one thing at a time, giving your body time to digest. Again, all of the common sense that you would want to exercise in doing something like this, apply that to yourself. Now, the other big thing that people don't often know about, everyone can think about, I guess I could just fat, I could just stop eating it all. But the other really great way to lose fat as quickly as possible is to do what my trainer Meadow used to call a protein sparing modified fast. So this is where you would just focus on getting your protein in, but really eat almost nothing else. So you're just gonna be eating chicken breast, egg whites, non-fat Greek yogurt, things like that. Things that are basically pure protein, but also whole foods. I would not recommend doing a protein sparing modified fast of just whey protein shakes. So make sure you're getting whole foods, but foods that are basically pure protein. Again, chicken breast, certain kinds of fish. If you're getting some other calories in there from carbohydrates and fat, again, that's okay. Don't be so strict on this that you give yourself zero flexibility. Just like if you're doing a fast, you obviously have water, and like if you have 50 calories over the course of the day because you had a couple bites of an apple or something, that's fine. You're still getting the big part of it correct. So that's the other big thing, protein sparing modified fast. What is your protein target? 1 gram per pound of body weight that you have. Make sure you're tracking everything in MyFitnessPal so you know you're getting all the protein that you're setting out to get, and be weighing, measuring your food. If you haven't already been doing that long enough to where you can eyeball it, then weigh out the amount of chicken breast or ground turkey breast. There's that 99% fat-free ground turkey breast. There's other things you can do. I mean, there's a variety of things. You don't have a ton of options. You don't have all the options in the world, but you've got plenty of options. Probably 5 things that are good solid staples: egg whites, non-fat Greek yogurt, chicken breast, turkey breast, ground turkey breast. Those things you can all have. Hey, if you're lucky enough to have access to ostrich meat, ostrich also pretty much fat-free, also is really like a steak. I got to enjoy that when I was living in Cape Town for a little while. But those are the 2 big things, the 2 big ways to lose fat as quickly as possible. Just a straight up fast, make sure you drink water, get your electrolytes, and reintroduce food slowly and carefully afterwards. And then also try out the protein sparing modified fast where you're just getting your protein in. And again, remember, these are short-term tools that you can use to maybe boost the beginning of a cutting period, or you want to cut down for some specific reason. You don't want to be doing this all the time, and you certainly don't want to be yo-yoing and fasting, and then now you're eating a cheeseburger and fries, and then 2 weeks later you're like, I gained it all back and more, and I'm bloated and now I want to do it again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be disciplined, be strict, be committed, be focused. Write this stuff down. Write down, this is my intention. This is how long I'm doing my fast, my protein sparing modified fast. This is why I'm doing it. This is my plan for when I'm coming out of it and how I'm coming out of it. Make sure that you're being professional about it and clinical about it to the extent possible with yourself. But those are the 2 very real ways, things I've done plenty of times to lose fat as quickly as possible. And while you're doing this, bear in mind, keep nailing your workouts. You shouldn't be skipping workouts necessarily just because you're fasting. I think there's some famous story, almost myth of, I think this guy Dom D'Agostino, that hit like a deadlift PR when he was on his 5th day of a water-only fast. So you can absolutely keep working out, keep lifting weights. Know that when you're doing that pure fast, that water-only fast and electrolytes fast, that the first 24 hours are going to be the hardest. Know you'll get over that hump of the initial hunger, and then you'll get to this point where, again, it's almost like you're high or you're on Adderall or something like that, and you feel super energized and focused. You don't even need coffee. And again, you can have black coffee on it as well, or if you're taking maybe just caffeine, L-theanine pills for energy while you're doing it, you can do that. So these are very real tools at your disposal, but use them carefully, use them consciously, and make sure you're still nailing your workouts. But those are, you want to get down to it, those are the fastest ways for you to lose fat in the context of an overall healthy diet and lifestyle. Overall, you're eating well, you eat a lot of vegetables, you eat whole foods, things like that. Now, another thing I'll talk about quickly just before we drop here is that in general, if you're trying to, again, this word diet, when I say diet, it's just the way you habitually eat, but people also use diet to describe something you're doing, maybe extreme or short term, something like that. So when I think of your diet, it's just the way you habitually eat. So if you're trying to diet down, like you really want to cut your calories and maybe you're struggling with hunger, number 1 tip, zucchini is your best friend. Zucchini is like the lowest calorie, one of the lowest calorie natural vegetables, but it's also something that tastes good. It's versatile, it's filling. For example, I used to make these zucchini soups where if you just boil zucchini, just boil it and then let it cool and then throw it in a blender without anything else, because it's got a really high water content already, it'll blend up into this beautiful green soup. And then you can put a little seasoning in it, maybe a bouillon cube, something like that, or just a little salt and pepper, some type of seasoning into that zucchini soup. And that's a big way that I used to stay full, even when I dieted all the way down to like, I don't know, I probably got down to like 7% body fat or something like that. I was keeping my calories. Now, I would probably never do this again. it was cool to get that lean and see what it's like and see what it took, but I have zero desire or intention to ever get that lean again. But you can do it. And when you're keeping your calories that low for a long time, you want to make sure that you're addressing the hunger issue, and you do that by just eating a bunch of vegetables. Like you can't be hungry and be eating 2 pounds of vegetables a day. The thing is, people just don't want to do it, but that's the answer. It's very easy to stay full and keep your calories way down. You just have to eat a lot of vegetables. But look, vegetables are not expensive. I mean, zucchini is what, $2 a pound, something like that. Make that zucchini soup, eat a bunch of zucchini, eat a bunch of vegetables, get your pure protein sources in, and that's a way that as well you can diet down and still stay full. So again, these are tools to use sparingly in certain situations. Make sure you do this responsibly. Make sure if you really feel off when you're starting to fast, it's not for everybody. Everybody's got a different genetic makeup, phenotype. So don't go against, if you really feel like this is not going well, it's not a good idea. Okay, don't go crazy. Don't like hurt yourself over this, but you should be fine. First 24 hours are the hardest. Use that protein sparing modified fast. And then just in your general diet, if you're keeping calories low and trying to stay full, vegetables are your best friend, especially zucchini. And that's that.